The role of Black Americans in World Wars I and II stands as a testament to their resilience, patriotism, and unwavering commitment to both their country and their communities, despite facing systemic discrimination and entrenched racial biases. Black Americans played significant, multifaceted roles across both world wars, embodying courage, skill, and dedication in the face of severe adversity. Despite a society structured around segregation and inequality, Black servicemen and women contributed immensely to military efforts abroad and social change at home. During World War I, the United States faced unprecedented demand for manpower, and Black Americans viewed enlistment as a means to both serve their country and demonstrate their loyalty and capability. Over 350,000 Black men served in World War I, many with the hope that their contribution would secure better rights and equal treatment. Yet, when they enlisted, they encountered racial discrimination on every front, from their initial training to their deployment abroad. Black soldiers were often relegated to menial roles within the military, limited to labor battalions and supporting roles such as cooks, quartermasters, and stevedores. Their assigned roles highlighted racial stereotypes that doubted their fitness for combat and undervalued their skill and bravery. Despite these constraints, several Black units emerged as symbols of excellence and determination. One such group was the Harlem Hellfighters, an African-American regiment from New York that fought courageously alongside French forces. Under French command, the Harlem Hellfighters saw more time in the trenches than almost any other American unit, enduring grueling conditions and engaging in fierce combat. They earned the Croix de Guerre, a French military honor, for their outstanding valor and skill. Such recognition underscored the disparity between Black soldiers' abilities and the limitations their own country imposed upon them. Back home, however, Black veterans did not receive the hero's welcome they deserved. Many were met with violence and hostility, particularly in the summer of 1919, known as the Red Summer, when racial tensions exploded in violent riots across the country. World War II further cemented the importance of Black Americans in military and support roles. The expansion of military forces meant that more Black men and women were drafted and enlisted. This time, over 1 million Black Americans served, including the first Black women in the Women's Army Corps, WAC. Yet, segregation was deeply entrenched, and Black soldiers served in segregated units. Leadership opportunities were rare, with few Black officers overseeing Black troops, and interracial cooperation was almost unheard of. Even with these limitations, Black Americans seized the chance to prove themselves and fight for a cause larger than themselves. A prominent example of Black excellence during World War II was the Tuskegee Airmen, the first African-American pilots in the U.S. military. These pilots faced enormous challenges even before they reached the battlefield. Many doubted their ability to fly, citing racial stereotypes, and the Army Air Corps initially refused to allow Black pilots to enter. However, a program at Tuskegee Institute finally allowed for their training. The Tuskegee Airmen went on to establish an impressive combat record, protecting Allied bombers with unparalleled skill and courage. Their success not only boosted morale but also helped to change perceptions within the military and beyond. The Tuskegee Airmen's accomplishments paved the way for a gradual shift in attitudes, leading to the integration of the U.S. military in 1948 under President Harry Truman. Another notable contribution was in the field of logistics, where Black service members played vital roles in ensuring the effective supply and transport of goods and equipment. The Red Ball Express was a convoy system largely manned by Black soldiers, designed to deliver essential supplies to Allied troops advancing into Europe after the D-Day invasion. Operating 24 hours a day under perilous conditions, these truck drivers braved enemy attacks and treacherous terrain, ensuring that frontline soldiers received the supplies they needed. The work of the Red Ball Express was instrumental in the Allied victory, yet was often overlooked in public memory. The role of Black Americans was not limited to combat or support in war zones. They also faced battles at home. The Double V campaign, spearheaded by the Pittsburgh Courier newspaper, encapsulated the spirit of Black Americans during World War II. This campaign called for a double victory: victory against the Axis powers abroad and victory against racial discrimination at home. Black leaders like A. Philip Randolph, a prominent labor activist, pushed for fair treatment in wartime industries, which led to the establishment of the Fair Employment Practices Committee (FEPC). This committee aimed to prevent racial discrimination in war-related industries, creating new opportunities for Black workers and empowering them economically. The wartime labor shortage also saw an influx of Black Americans into the workforce, sparking what became known as the Great Migration, as many moved from the rural South to industrial centers in the North and West. These moves laid the groundwork for the burgeoning civil rights movement in the decades following the war. In addition to men, Black women also made significant contributions during the World Wars. During World War I, Black women primarily contributed to the war effort by filling labor shortages on the home front, especially as domestic workers and in manufacturing roles. However, World War II saw a marked increase in Black women's participation in the military. As members of the Women's Army Corps, Black women served as clerks, mechanics, and support staff. Their service was instrumental in changing perceptions about Black women's roles in society, highlighting their capability and dedication. Black musicians and entertainers provided both relief and pride for their communities and for troops. Performers like Duke Ellington and Lena Horne entertained both Black and white troops, providing a sense of unity and resilience through music. These entertainers used their platforms to speak out against discrimination and injustices, subtly embedding messages of hope and resistance in their work. Their influence extended beyond the military, as they inspired a new generation of Black Americans to stand up for their rights and identities. The sacrifices and contributions of Black Americans in the World Wars were instrumental not only in securing Allied victory, but also in reshaping the national dialogue about race and equality. The disparities in treatment between Black and white soldiers, especially as Black soldiers fought valiantly while their families endured segregation and violence at home, highlighted the deep-seated racial divides in American society. For Black Americans, the wars were a stark reminder of the contradictions in American democracy, which celebrated freedom abroad while denying it to a substantial portion of its population. The legacies of the Black soldiers who served in the World Wars extended beyond the military. Their service provided a foundation for future activism, as veterans return home with a renewed determination to fight for equality. Organizations like the NAACP gained momentum, with membership swelling during and after the wars, as Black veterans and civilians alike rallied for civil rights. Figures like Medgar Evers, who served in World War II, went on to become prominent activists in the civil rights movement. Veterans leveraged their experiences and sacrifices to demand full participation in American life, from voting rights to fair housing. In sum, the role of Black Americans in the World Wars was characterized by a profound commitment to their country and a resilient fight against racial injustice. Their contributions on the battlefield and the home front were integral to the Allied victories and catalyzed significant social change in the United States. Through their service, Black Americans challenged the boundaries of segregation and discrimination, laying the groundwork for future generations to continue the struggle for equality and justice. The memory of their bravery and endurance remains a powerful reminder of their enduring impact on American society and global history.